Hello, welcome back to my channel. Thanks for stopping by and gracing me with your presence today. All right, today I'm going to start off um just telling you I had a plan. Yesterday I was doing a walk and I was taping, and so I got about 20 minutes in and it cut off. And so but I was like, okay, well, instead of me just adding to that video, I'm just going to make a whole new video. Okay, because it just messed up my whole train of thought, right? And where I was going with what I was saying. So, in that video, what I was speaking about was I took a picture, or I did a video of that pink tree that I kept saying I love so much, which I do. It's pink, okay? So it's so cute. It's so amazing how, you know, everything with all its colors and everything, you just give God gratitude and thanks for the beauty that surrounds us, okay? And I was thinking in my head, like what kind of tree, was this tree? And I found out that it's a crepe myrtle. And so, and I said in the video, all I got was these. And if you look in my hand, there's what they call these helicopter seeds, and they spiral down when they fall off the tree. And I was saying that it reminds me of a movie with Tinkerbell where all the woodland fairies would, come down from the trees spinning off of these helicopter seeds, right? And I thought that was extra cute. I love that. But it got me wondering, like, what kind of tree? My curls are popping off. Okay. So, yeah, so it had me think about what kind of tree that I had in my own yard. That's a lesson in itself. You always can look externally and see, the things that you would like or want in this life or whatever. But, before you go out looking, outwardly beyond what you already possess, see what's in your yard. And so I discovered that my tree is some type of a maple tree. And I didn't exactly know that it was a maple, but I knew that it dropped sap. Okay. And so, and then, in the summertime, it gets real sticky and it drops all over my car and everything. So I call my tree a she. But she is a little rough tree, but she's strong. She's stable. You know, uh, she is, she gives life, because a lot of birds, around where I live, we have orioles, the birds and things, and we get those all the time. I get a lot of those around here. I have my own personal squirrels that come to visit, and because inside of that tree is a low hanging branch with a cup like uh it's in it. It has like a little cup like part in it where I go and stuff food for the squirrels. And so there's a couple of squirrels that know about that area where they can come and find, like, let's say my son, he likes a variety of nuts or whatever. And so then there's some that he'll pick out that he won't eat. And so if he doesn't happen to eat those, I collect them for the squirrels and I put them out there in that little cup, and they come and, eat all the nuts and stuff like that or whatever. And one time I actually had one of these squirrels come up. I watched them because I was putting my kids on the bus, and he ran up to the tree, and I seen him look at the cup part. He looked, and he turned around, looked at the door, because I was sitting, on the steps watching him through the door. And he was like, "Where are my nuts?" And I'm like, okay, I got your nuts. And so had a little attitude, but yes, I'm friends with my little woodland creatures. Okay, and so I do. I love my tree. It brings a lot of life. And I also found out that I have on the side a dogwood tree. And so the dogwood tree blooms late in the summer, but after everybody else's trees have blooms, or because the crepe myrtles, they only bloom for a little while, and then all the pink flowers fall off. So the tree is still beautiful, but the pink flowers are only temporary. But my white flowers from the dogwood should come in when it gets a little bit hotter. But anywho, so I'm going to play for you a recording that I took like after I had my walk. And so and this is the things that I found about the spiritual meaning of the maple tree that I have in my yard. And the reason why I'm going to play this for you is because I just find it interesting, the story of the spiritual meaning of what it has to tell. I also do things like if you take your number, your address number off your house, or things like that, or even your street names. One day we'll talk about things that you'll find out that there were things that were leading you and you didn't even know it. And so it's a lot of things. A lot of things, a lot of numbers, and things that have meanings to it, meanings that you would never know. But if you awaken to, it's almost like the Matrix. In the Matrix, for the ones who see the patterns, the ones who see the encoded messages, you awaken to that type of stuff. But if you don't see it, it's fine. Doesn't mean that life isn't, is less meaningful. I just find it to be not a coincidence of some of the messages that come through, so for instance, like your name, if you really look into the meaning of your full name, you would see, things about yourself, and things like that you will come to understand. It says this maple that sits in front of my tree says a lot about life, has a message for life for me. And I haven't done the dogwood, but when I do, I will share it. Okay? And this is the recording. Okay, check this out. This is a total afterthought after I've done the walk and the video. And so I finally made it back home. I wanted to know what these seed things were called. And they would call it the seeded wings, or they would call it the helicopter seeds, and another one, it said keys. So I was like, oh, wow, I like the fact that it said, that it's seen the leaves as keys. But as I continued to read on about them, I found out that the seeds are edible. And so I actually tried one, and they are horribly nasty. And so, but they said that they are filled with a lot of nutrients and a lot of things that I nor the squirrels care for. Okay. So I was like, okay, well, what kind of tree is this? I always knew that this tree dripped sap. Okay. But I didn't know that it was some sort of a maple tree or something like that, or whatever. And so, yes, it's a maple tree. I looked at the leaves. I was comparing the leaves, And I haven't pinpointed because I want to be sure quite yet, but it's in the family of maple tree, okay? But this is what I found for maple tree. It says, the spiritual meaning of a maple tree centers on balance, transformation, and generosity, often symbolizing the sweetness of life achieved through effort and adaptability. As a pioneer species, it represents resilience, nurturing, and protection. Maples are also deeply associated with love, longevity, and the beauty of life's transitions. I thought that was interesting because the tree is in my yard. And the yes, I do when I have these talks. It's to focus on the beauty of life's transitions, right? It goes on and says, balance and harmony. Native American traditions often view the maple tree as a balance between masculine and feminine energies, as well as an association with both the elements of spirit and water. I also feel very deeply about that and the balance in elements, spirit and water. Also engage in talking about the balance between the masculine and feminine energies. Found that to be useful information. And it says transformation and change. The dramatic change in the color from green to vibrant red or orange in the autumn symbolizes the beauty of letting go and the power of transformation. And the tree does turn beautiful during, the fall times. The sweetness of effort. The story of the maple teaches the sweetest things in life. And it says sap, sugar. And I know because that sap drips all over my car and it's very sticky and hard to get off. They actually say if it drips on your car, it's actually bad for your paint or whatever. But it says things in life, and it says sap slash sugar require hard work, patience, and stewardship, protection, and guidance. Historically, I was getting country. Historically, maple branches were used in Europe folklore to ward off evil spirits, and they are generally seen as a protective and grounding force. Love and abundance in Japanese and Chinese traditions, maple leaves are a symbol of love, romance, and lasting beauty. Longevity and wisdom. The maple is sometimes viewed as a quiet, peaceful friend or a wise old tree that offers support and stability, particularly when connecting to our true selves. Okay, what else we got here? In Native American, regarded as a sacred gift offering focusing on practical wisdom and generosity. In Japanese, symbolizes peace, patience, and the appreciation of life's passing seasons. Yeah, okay, that's definitely me because I do focus on, life's passing seasons as we go through seasons of change. Even when I'm talking about eternal life, because I don't see this life as it being all, it being it. I see it as a mere chapter, in the book of our existence. Okay? And it says Celtic, represented as a symbol of balance, wisdom, and insight. Okay? The presence of a maple tree is often seen as a reminder to balance your dreams with your practical action and to find joy in the process of life. I know that was a lot, but I wanted to share that. And you can see things in other people's yards, but it's important that you look within and see that the fruits and see that the things that God is trying to, lead you to see and lead you to understand within yourself. So this maple tree is in my yard. And yes, I just discovered that I have this maple tree. I always knew that it had this sap, but I never paid this much attention to it until I became aware of it. And so I kept saying, I was like, oh man, I walk around the neighborhood. I'm like, look at all these pink trees. I want a pink tree. But I have a maple tree. God gave me a maple tree. He was like, work with your maple tree. Okay? And so that's a message in itself. It's about finding, it's about using the raw materials of what God has already given you, and that whatever He's giving you, it has its purpose. Okay? Okay. So now that we know about my maple tree and how beautiful and strong and, you know, the purpose of her presence, there. I no longer care for a pink tree. I'm fine with the raw elements and things that were put before me, because we are here to work with the things that we have and the things that we are given, because there is a special thing that God is trying to bring out in each and every one of us in each and every lifetime. Okay? And so each lifetime has something to present. It has something to bring forth, because we are like seeds. Everything that is needed is within us. All the information, everything, God has put it within. So the whole part with us being beings to be, we exist. We are as divine beings. Before we even came to this earth, we were, and so all we are doing is calling back, the remembrance, and pulling everything forward from within. Okay? And so everything is already there. It's nothing that we have to go get or put on us, or, so we're just calling it all forth, because it's already present. We just have to awaken it. Okay, and so that brings me to this movie, right? I got another movie. I need to upgrade my movies. And so my movies, I got so many. Oh, but they were so good. I was just talking to my daughter. My daughter does boxing, and so I just picked her up from her boxing class, and she was mentioning to me that she was reading something saying that Hollywood is falling because they're not able to make any more movies. This is what she was telling me, and I kind of agreed with her, because I was just like, yes, I said, because Hollywood has an issue with lack of creativity. When things are in such a low vibration, this world loses creativity. And that's what we need to put out new ideas, to to evolve and to elevate, having these new ideas and innovation. And the more, in this world, that energies, low level energies, do to restrict our freedom, or try to reduce our power, those things happen. So we're seeing a lot of, movies that are part twos and part 5s and part 3s. And I have no problem with that. I want to see the Demon Hunters 2 come out, okay? So there's nothing wrong with that as long as it's good. Okay? They just did Moana is not a 2, but it's a live action. I'm still gonna go see it because I love the movie Moana. But me and my daughter both agree that we're disappointed in the wigs. They're acting like we don't have wigologists out here that can get the job done, right? I hate when Disney or whatever do live actions and they just feel like they just can't get it right. If you can't get anything right about the movie, get the look right, okay? Y'all know what happened when they tried to come out with Sonic and Sonic looked all wonky and people was on it. Hell no, that's not what Sonic looked like. It takes nothing. Stay, they try to be different in some areas where, you don't need to extract from. I understand if you want to make anything different, yeah, put it within the movie, within the story, and make it different that way. But don't just totally mess around with the look of the characters and stuff, because that's what we come to see, because we want to see it as in live. But anywho, I'm going off. Anywho, but Bedazzled, one of my favorite movies, hilarious movie. Brendan Fraser plays in this movie. If you haven't seen it, sit down and watch it. I need to go talk in front of my television because somehow there's this magical thing that happens when I speak in front of my television. The movies that I want to watch or whatever magically come up on Netflix. So Bedazzled needs to hit Netflix so that people can see it, because it was a great movie. Now, when I first watched it, I just saw it as a funny movie. But as I sit back and think about it and take it into the spiritual meaning of the movie, it's so much more. It's so much deeper than that. And that's what I am going to talk about real quick. So this movie, Bedazzled, starts off with Brendan Fraser. His name is Elliot. And he begins the movie as this people pleaser type of character. He's trying to be nice. He's trying to be, real, he's peppy and real, nice and cool to everybody, trying to so-called fit in. Okay? This is the part where he didn't realize, like, to fit in, he's basically jumping over all kinds of hoops, like a circus poodle, for people who try to exclude him, who don't want to connect with him because they think that he's weird, like he's too much of a try-hard, or he's something that does not connect with, those people within his office and stuff like that or whatever. And so within this office, there is a girl that he likes. Her name is Allison. But he feels like Allison kind of sees him as the same as everybody else does, kind of sees through him. And so he had this, this thought, this desire to be like, I wish I had this girl, right? So all of a sudden, like I'm vaguely like going through this or whatever, because I haven't seen this movie in a long time, but I would love to see it again. So, through him wishing, the devil, came through. And so this devil is this, beautiful, sexy woman. So what she portrays in the movie is our passions and our desires. I know I said last time that it is our passions, our wants, and our desires that keeps us here, down here, cycling, into different incarnations. Okay? And so the things that we feel like we want, the things we feel like we desire, but you have to have those, you put that out through the universe, and you design for yourself the next lifetime that you should have, because obviously it thinks it's a lesson that you need to learn. Okay. And so you have it because you desire it so much. Okay. And so and another thing is too, we are like the seedlings here on the earth. We are God's children, the children of source. And so there is nothing more that source would want from you, is that his children be wise, and that his children are disciplined, and that his children know and that they know themselves. Now, this is just one level of our growth, because beyond this realm there is other levels of elevation and growth. This is just the foundation, starting the foundation of who you are and what you come to know and understand. And this world to us is more of a resistance. It's created, it's but it'll come to me, or whatever. A controlled experiment, kinda, or we call it a simulation, or things like that, or whatever. If all this mind in the universe is mental, if you're going to be this being out in the universe and things like that, or whatever, you have to have some type of ability to have some awareness about yourself and your thoughts, because you having thoughts and you're not aware of your thought processes and how you think and how you understand, you will put yourself in all kinds of effed up situations, because you're basically running around with no understanding, and so it's good for you to have perspective, because it broadens that your understanding. Because have you ever tried to talk to somebody who's like real closed-minded, and and you try to offer a perspective? And so I'm definitely open to listening to perspectives and things like that, because it's just a perspective. If you don't agree, fine, you can disagree. It's nothing wrong with that, but it's nothing wrong with listening either. You know what I'm saying? And so I can listen to a lot of things. They say you eat the meat, spit out the bones. Okay? That's why this movie, Bedazzled, is important. Watch it. Okay? And so Elliot, he made this wish, and then this devil came up, and she represents our desires. Not only that, they made her a feminine. So when I think about that, I think about the energy, not as the woman, as the feminine, the energy, in which they portray her as the devil on here, because she represents that on this earth, it's about all the worldly possessions and all the worldly things and things like that. Okay, so she represents this energy that we feel when we don't feel like we have the root chakra. We don't feel like we don't have the balance of that, which is our security, which is our sense of just stability, okay, within ourselves. And so he wasn't that. He wasn't secure within himself because he always found himself people pleasing and trying to put himself beneath, these people, okay, trying to succumb to what he thought that these people wanted from him. But that didn't happen. They still outcasted him anyway. You know what I'm saying? Still ignored him anyway. So he meets the devil. She was like, okay, well, I'll give you those wishes, and you just gotta give me your soul. And he was like, okay, my soul, okay. And another thing about that, people do make contracts and stuff like that to lower entities, because when they feel powerless, when actually God is giving you're the living one, okay? You are the living one. So you have more power over them. They actually need you, okay? Because they operate out of your power, which I'm going to tell you about in a minute. They operate out of your power because they are the ones that are the cast outs. The lower entities, they are the ones that are the cast outs. They don't have no way in. So they need you to consent so that they can come in. And another thing about these lower entities, they do have, a lot of them do have knowledge about how the world works. You know what I'm saying? And so they can make certain things happen, okay? But they're powerless, and whatever they do, they use your own power within you to activate and do, the things that need to happen. But it always comes with a cost, that you've attached yourself eternally to an entity. Now you think it's only about this lifetime, but what they know is you are eternal energy. You're eternal, right? And if you wasn't eternal, why do people always need some place for you to go? Why you always gotta go to hell? Why you always gotta go to hell? What's happening in hell? People screaming and hollering in hell and stuff. Sounds like people that are still alive to me. Sound like still living. Okay? All right. So, okay? So that's why they have to make up a place for where you have to go. Still sounds like if an entity is speaking to you from some other side or somewhere, that thing is still alive because it's communicating, right? When you are in the spirit or whatever, you actually connect to spiritual things. And how else are you going to connect with angels and talk with angels and things like that or whatever? Because you are coming through the veil. Those things, because we have to understand that those things are not separate. They are actually together. Okay? And so when you come into spirituality, that's what happens. And some people cannot handle the warfare that happens in spirituality. And so they run back to religion. You know what I'm saying? And it shuts all of that off or whatever, because you just disconnected yourself. You're supposed to connect where you fall in and you learn spiritual things, and same thing with Jesus. They was like, oh, well, you don't talk to no demons and you don't do this. It's not the point that you talk to them. It's just that it whatever has the ability, if it has the ability to come through. Remember, when Jesus, even though he's a highly spiritual and the Son of God, even the devil came and sat up on the mountain and he had a talk. They had a conversation, a whole conversation. And after they had that conversation, what did he have? He was just like, get thee behind me, devil. And then what happened? He left, because that's all he can do. If he can't penetrate you, all he can do is leave. It doesn't mean that the reason why you're down here is to understand, good and evil, and to become aware of energies and stuff like that. So it doesn't mean that they won't come. It just knows you know how to handle them and what to do with them. And what did Jesus do? He said, get thee behind me. And it went away. How are you ever going to be able to cast out a demon or something like that? He walked in the house. Jesus walked in the house and talked to the demon. And the demon came, and he had a whole conversation, and the demon came out. But if you scared, then you can't ever overcome anything you're scared of. And you lose that fear because you understand that you are a spiritual, powerful being too. And they won't F with you because they know you know. They only go around effing with those who don't know. And those are the scary ones. They run around here scary all the time. Don't you get tired of being scared? I don't deal with scary ass people. So he's like, if you're going to be scared, go over there and be scared and be in your hut and, and give the devil all the power. Me, the devil is nothing for me. Nothing. It was like, you believe in? No, I don't believe in him, because me believing in him puts power, gives him power. And I want him to remain powerless. So he gets none of my attention. He gets none of my, he's so powerful. The devil's going to get you. The devil, no, the F he's not. He knows if he comes around you as a spirit, he's going to get effed up. Just like when they do with Jesus come around, them spirits get what? They get scared. And another thing is about you being spiritual, they know you in the realm because you are in the realm, because you are spiritual. You know that you are a spirit in the realm. So not only here on this earthly realm, but up there, they're there. Your presence is there. That's the whole part. Your presence is there. Your presence is not only down here, is up there as well. And so they know you. There was one demon that came out also in the Bible that tells him, Paul, I know. He was like, what does he say? He said, Jesus, I know. Paul, I know. But who are you? If you just run around here and you're scary and you're scared of everything, and a lot of people fear a lot of things that they don't know because they're scared. They're afraid of the unseen. But Bible also tells you that too. It's not what's in the seen, it's in the unseen. Okay. This down here is the actual illusion. Okay. And people be like, oh, well, especially when I talk about movies and stuff like that. Well, that's fiction. Well, the truth is realer than fiction. Especially in Revelations, when they start talking about the cherubims, and the cherubims being the beast with all the wings and covered with all the eyes and stuff like that. And people be running around, be talking about, woo, what's fiction? Woo, if you see one of them things. Anywho, so thing is, and once you get into spirituality, yes, you do get into spiritual things. Yes, the veil is revealed to you. And if whatever comes in, you have the awareness or the power or whatever. Like, it's nothing low is going to ever come. If when you walk in the spirit of light, because they know they need your permission. They always come through and they have to have a permission. Okay. But if you connect with anything, like through a dream or whatever, they get you to eat something, they get you to accept something, sex or, things like that or whatever. Those are different ways they get you to come in agreement, with a spirit or a thing like that or whatever. But all you need to know is anything that has to offer you something in exchange for something else, because higher beings don't need that. Only thing they offer you is wisdom and understanding. That's it. And so they say the devil is a lie. No, the devil doesn't lie. The devil came and told Jesus the truth. He said, hey, if you serve me, I can get you the things on this earth. I can get it for you. Why do people give their souls over to the devil? Because he keep his word. He'll get it for you. You just don't know the consequences of what it takes to get whatever it get. But it's gonna get God. Okay? And so it happens. And so there's a reason why you're still in business. Okay? So even in the Bible, when it talks about Eve, you know, and the devil or the serpent came to her and said, hey, you know, if you eat or whatever, offering something to eat, you know, you can become like gods, you know, and know things or whatever. And the thing is about that, it didn't lie. The thing about it was, if she was aware that she was already a god. Jesus said, didn't you know that the words say that ye are gods? She was already a god, but she didn't know that. So everything plays off of your ignorance. It is not the fact that some people have to lie to you. It's just that if you're not aware of anything or whatever, they just play off your ignorance. I got a bar off. Okay, so he gets this contract. He signed a contract. Permission. You have to be able to give, because nothing in this realm, they can't do anything without your permission, right? And so even God, you have to ask God, you know, you have to let him in, okay? And it has to be, because nothing can transgress your free will. That's like a universal rule. You don't transgress people's free will. And that's how you get messed. A lot of people get messed up. He had to accept the contract of the devil. He's accepted the contract, but he really didn't believe. He said, what do we do now? He's just like, make your first wish. And he was like, I think he said, I want like a Whopper sandwich or something like that. And she was like, okay, come on. So they got on a bus. Dun, dun, dun. It was so funny. They got on the bus and he got to, I think it was Burger King. Was it Burger King? I think it was Burger King. It's Whopper, so it's Burger King. And so I got the Burger King, and he was like, okay. She was like, one Whopper, please. And so they told him the price, and he was just like, okay, the Whopper. And she told him, and here it goes, I left my wallet in the underworld. So he had to pay for the Whopper. And he was like, what is this? She was like, well, you got your wish. She said, that's one wish. You got your wish. And he was like, oh my God. He was like, I have to pay for it. That was that part I was telling you. The devil has no energy of his own. It has to use yours. Okay, so it's actually riding off of you and with your ignorance and what you don't know, or you don't know how to use your own energy or to tap into your own. So it uses it for you. It has knowledge of how to use it. So it's going to use your energy to do it. And the whole thing about him paying for it, the money is the energy exchange, right? And so in her riding with him to go do it was her being connected. At that time being connected to him. So now you got this devil, you know, on your back. And so she was like, okay, you got your next wish. And so he says, I'm going to do a real wish now, right? So the real wish that he was going to do was, he said, I want you to make me powerful. He said, I want you to make me rich. And I know that's going to get Allison. She said, okay. So she makes him powerful and makes him rich. And even with him being powerful and rich, he finds out that his wife, Allison, is like sleeping with the pool boy or something like that, or whatever. She wasn't happy. And on top of that, he finds out that he's a drug lord. Oh, should I? Okay, let me be brief with this because I want you to watch the movie, right? And so, he's getting raided on. Okay, so okay, anywho. So he has to get out of that situation. When I think about these situations, I think about different lifetimes. Okay, even though these was happening in only a couple of minutes or whatever, but think about these as the lifetimes in which he has to learn. Okay, so next chapter, he's thinking, because remember I said that when you hope for something, so much in your desires. So he's thinking if he was more sensitive, that if he was more sensitive and more loving and more caring, this would definitely get her, since the other time when he was very overpowering. So he comes back and he's this guy and he's super sensitive and he's always crying all the time and he's looking at the sunset, and he was so sensitive, in fact, that a guy came or whatever that was not sensitive, that was like real macho or whatever, and stole his girl away. And so that's the polarity, because he wanted to first be powerful, but then he was just like, well, I want to be meek and sensitive. And so, either one of those didn't work. It's about you finding balance and all those things, right? And so what was the next thing? He wanted to be famous, and he was like a NBA star, right? He was real super tall, and and she came as a reporter in the locker room or whatever. But even with all those things he had, not only that, he was somewhat dumb or whatever. So look at all these combinations, in life. It's like you're always going to lack something. You're never going to always be totally perfect. All right. So everybody has lessons to learn in life, right? And you're going to lack something, right? And so, so he had it together, but he wasn't really smart or whatever. And, okay, I have to do this part, wait. But anywho, well, you thought, he was all tall and sexy or whatever, so-called sexy. He looked really corny to me. He was funny. She wanted him, but he couldn't, because he found out that he had a small wing wang. And so it was hilarious, but I'm not going to go on from there. And so he X's out of that experience, right? Goes on to the next experience. And the next experience, he's successful, but he's successful, but he's very intelligent. He's very intellectual. He's very, I think he was a book writer and something like that or whatever. And she was all over him and everything. And so, only to find out he was well endowed in this part, but then he was gay, right? And so he had to X out of that one. I can't think of the other ones that come up out there, but you see where I'm getting at, all these desires that you have, and what winds up happening at the end for his final wish. He was like, damn, I'm going to be stuck with the devil anyway. And he was like, all these different lifetimes are not really working out. And my desires and things that I thought that I needed and thought, to live and to achieve all the happiness and stuff that I wanted, I found out that none of those things was really a success. He was like, so his final wish was a selfless wish. And it was that Allison be happy. He let the thought of trying to make her, which that is right, you know what I'm saying? Because that's, once again, transgressing somebody's free will. Okay? Trying to make somebody fall in love with you. He accepted himself the way he was. And if she falls in love, she does. If she doesn't, you know what I'm saying? He's going to go on to live life. So by the end of the movie, well, that actually broke the contract, the selfless act that he did, But if you see towards the end of the movie and how he straightens up, like his whole demeanor and his whole, expression of how he was changes. It's almost like he stood stronger, and he learned to protect himself, and he learned to understand that if people don't accept him, that he accepts himself, you know, and he didn't know it yet because he's already letting Allison go in his mind, because he was like, if she doesn't accept it, then that's it, right? And but she actually kind of falls in love with him because he's like really standing, in his truth. So it's a wonderful movie. Watch it. Watch it. And so but it I just wanted to say it because it connects with what I was trying to say previously about past lives, and how you're going to get these experiences. You don't have to be jealous about what nobody else has. You know what I'm saying? The last will be first and the first will be last. Okay? So the thing is, in each lifetime, you can still find source, find God in each of these lifetimes, and he's going to help you navigate through these experiences. Some beginnings might start off wonderful. You know what I'm saying? But some beginnings might not, but it doesn't mean that if you have God, if you have source, doesn't mean that all of those cannot end well for you, because at the end of the journey, or the end of that experience, you come to know more of yourself, about how you are in source, and how source is in you. Okay? And all of us will have experiences where, if you have a disability or something like that, there's many of people, who have disabilities, who have done marvelous things on this earth. You know what I'm saying? That's the polarity of turning your disadvantage. You come to this earth and you think it's a so-called disadvantage, you turn that disadvantage into an advantage, right? And a lot of people have done that. It's not about sitting around making the world yield to you, because it's not. It's about you taking the rawness of who you are, and like from carbon to diamond, you transforming that. You don't wait for the world to tell you that you're beautiful. You know within yourself that you're beautiful. Okay? And I've seen plenty of models that have gone. So many are out there now, so unique and beautiful, and standing in their own knowing of their beauty. And the world is gawking, okay? Because they didn't accept, that the world says, oh, well, this is the only standard of beauty, and that's all we'll receive. No, you're going to take this, okay? And they did, and ran with it. So I'm going to end it there. So I hope you go watch the movie. And that's it. I'm sweating in my car. I got my sweater on. Today was started off real cold, but now it's really hot. So now